County Board of Education agenda setting meeting to order. The date is November 7, 2022. We first need a motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
I second.
Thank you. All right, motion by Ms. Robine, second by Ms. Middleton. Any discussion, ladies? All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, the motion carries unanimously. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. The media was properly notified for tonight's meeting. We now need a motion to approve the October 24, 2022 committee meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the October 24, 2022 committee meeting minutes.
I
Thank you.
second that.
All right, motion by Ms. Middleton, second by Ms. Robine. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the minutes are approved. Next up, we have,
Tina, right quick, are you voting or are you abstaining?
I was at that meeting, so I'll say yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I wasn't the chair yet, but I was there.
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you though for asking. All right, next up is setting the board meeting agenda for November 15, 2022.
Hey, give me a second, I'm trying to catch up.
I know you are. Gotta move.
The 15th, let me move this over.
Yeah,
Okay.
there we are. Any way you can make it slightly bigger?
Yes,
Thank you. Good.
that
All
work?
right. That looks great. So this meeting will be conducted down on Hilton Head at the Hilton Head Library. And right now the start time is 5 o'clock for executive session. We have our usual instructions for public comments. Anything there we need to look at, Robin?
I have November 15th, November 16th, so
Yeah.
in this area, it's fine, so we have the right
Okay.
dates. We just need to decide what all is going on executive and if we need to change times.
Okay.
I think Wendy, you said you had a pending legal?
I need to inform the board of one pending legal claim, and I'll send you in the language for that.
Okay.
It won't take me long, it'll just be a few minutes.
We're also, the board is going to be meeting with legal counsel for advice on compensation for Dr. Rodriguez based on his highly effective performance review.
So do we need to start at 4:30?
I would probably say yes, or what are you late? I mean, I think the contractual matter for the superintendent's compensation is gonna probably be more than 30 minutes, but
Yeah.
yeah. And it's always better to end a little before 6 o'clock than trying to squeeze it all in and
I
rate.
I agree.
You agree, Angela? too?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've already reached out to that attorney and gave a tentative start time of 4:30.
Okay,
So I'd like them to go first.
yep,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, that would
moved
be
it.
fine. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just moved it so that they'll be first. And then we have an amendment from Erie from operations. So
Okay. Do we know how long that will be?
I think he said, Alice, is it just a quick one from Robert?
Yes, he said it was quick.
Okay,
So I think 4:30 sounds good. We might be done at 5:30 or 5:45, but
Yeah.
okay. Next up are the usual things.
question.
Yeah,
Dick wanted me to ask, and I don't know if that's something that we do it in executive session, conversation about exercising the board's right to about public comments. Is that a discussion in open session or a or executive session of censoring of because of what happened at the last meeting?
Well, I'll let Wendy weigh in.
Well, we talked about revising the public comment section of the board policy today in our policy meeting. But I'll need to talk with Mr. Guyer because I'm not sure what you mean about what happened. But I could,
I can elaborate. Or
Okay.
you- So I think he's referencing GC 223 Roman numeral 4B, which is where some public commenter does not abide by the guidelines for public comments and is reminded by the presiding officer and continues to ignore direction that in our policy, it says that we as a board could vote to have that public commenter not participate for up to 6 months in public comments.
and that's what's in your policy right now.
Correct. I just looked at it before we started. Yeah.
And we did talk
Um,
about that in policy today a little bit. So that was a
Okay.
public session.
So is that,
So I see if we, I don't know, Wendy, I mean, I'm not so sure I don't really see how it would be an executive session
No.
discussion.
No.
okay,
But at the same time too, I mean, if we wait until board business, it's gonna happen again. So, or I suspect it may well happen again.
Well, after 3 minutes, the time is up. So they're not allowed to speak anymore. I mean, you handled it well as far as having a recess. 3 minutes is 3 minutes. We treat everybody the same.
Right,
It's very clear. So people need to understand, you'll be cut off after that time. It's not an open forum to talk.
right.
We know, but
that's,
Well, then, so your advice currently would be to place that item under board business?
Well, we're talking about it. We're going to be talking about it with result from the policy committee. So we'll be,
So put it under
Discussing it.
policy committee?
and if you,
No, I
you
think-
may want to speak with it, you may want to involve discussion moving forward. You might want to do that at your work session.
that's,
You have
I
more
think,
time.
Wendy, I think you're not understanding, it's already a policy that we have, and Mr. Guyer is asking that we exercise that policy at this point. So to exercise that policy, to put it in place, where on the agenda does the board discuss it? So that's the question,
Exactly.
if they want to take a vote. Because it's already a policy and that he wants to know, where do we place it on the agenda for the board to decide if they're going to exercise that right?
Under what? Can you move the agenda along a little bit? I mean, is this it's supposed to be a board business action or board discussion action?
It would be a board discussion action. The board would decide if they want to exercise the right
So-
to enforce that policy.
Yeah, you'd have to look board business action. You've got a bullet there where you could put it.
Okay,
All right. Mr. Smith?
I believe that action will already come up when the policy discusses what it's going to discuss, because that was discussed today in the policy meeting. So I believe that will already come up at that time will be the appropriate time to bring a motion. And I think that Dr. Guas kind of stated, and I agree with that. I think that will be the appropriate time. I don't think we have a special place on a special placeholder for that, because that is already going to come up as it was discussed today in the meeting, in the policy meeting.
But the whole idea about, Freedom of Information Act is to be as clear as you can be about what motions are going to be addressed. So if it's under policy, that would be another way to do it. And where's that on Oh, we don't have that yet,
There.
but oh,
We'll
yes,
be
I see
adding
it.
it.
I'm
Under the
sorry,
committee
Under
reports.
committee reports.
Yeah, I
Right,
see it.
and then I thought that would
Yeah.
be coming up I thought that would be a part of their committee report. So I thought that they were already been given that to Mrs. Cushionberry. So I thought that we were double doing that. That's all. That's my
Okay, thank you.
interpretation of today's meeting.
Next up is Ingrid Boatright.
Hey, next up,
Hey.
so this, I didn't go to a policy meeting, but my assertion would be, if it is our policy, we don't really need to discuss it. I mean, to me, what would happen is the presiding officer could decide to enforce it, and we as individual board members could appeal the ruling from the chair if we didn't agree with it, or vice versa. If the presiding officer chose not to enforce it, we could point of order and request that the office, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why we have to have a whole discussion, or why we couldn't just do it
Right.
on Tuesday.
Yeah, and it could go, I was thinking, Ingrid, the same thing, and it would just go under the first public comments, and I'll have to look. I told you what the policy was, and I believe it's by board vote, but I'll have to go
Yes.
back and look at it. And so somebody else would have to make the motion, because our
I
policy
don't
also
think,
says
yeah, I
that I
don't, it
can't make the
doesn't,
motion.
yeah, I don't think it says by board vote, but
Okay,
I mean,
I mean, that's the chair gets to preside over that, but
right.
can ask the board to weigh in, or the board can appeal the ruling of the chair. Plus, I would think I mean, to be honest with you, I don't relish having a long discussion of something that's already determined policy, and because the question is whether or not we're going to enforce our policy. I mean, it's up to the chair, but then I would think we could just put that on the handout that we give to people on the Tuesday meeting, with the comment card, just add GC 412B subsection, whatever.
yeah, I'll read it to you right now. So it's GC 223 Roman numeral 4B. Should a participant fail to abide by the reasonable directives of the boards or committees presiding officer, the board or committee may prohibit the offending speaker from participating in further public comment sessions for a period not to exceed 6 months. So that motion could be made by a board member if somebody did not follow the directives during the public comments time.
And that's already on the public comment card.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Dr. was under A, individuals who violate the expectations of the board or committee during public comment will be asked to cease speaking and return to their seats or to leave the board or committee room. And you have to cut them off after 3 minutes.
Well, we
They
try.
do that.
I know.
That's the
So
problem.
I have a question. So
Turn off
that
the mic.
means that the sheriff can escort them out?
No,
No, yeah, I don't think so either.
They-
They're not breaking the law, but they're
right.
Disrupting.
violating the policy that we have in place and for public comments. Public comments are, I guess you'd say, a privilege, not a right.
I think we're just topic a little too much.
Mr. Smith, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I just was saying that I think that this is all a part of the discussion when we actually make that decision. I think some of the conversation right now, other board members or other people might want to hear. So I just think that we're discussing this topic a little bit and extensive.
Okay, thank you for your input. Anybody else want to? So what's the consensus of the officers to not have it listed as a board business action, but be aware that this could be implemented during the public comments, or what do you guys
Yeah.
think? Kathy?
I agree with Ingrid. It's in our policy now. I think we
Mhm.
just need to, decide whether someone's gonna, make a motion to enforce it. So I would not add it to the agenda as a discussion item.
Got it.
Are you in agreement with that, Angela? Yeah.
Yes,
so am
I agree.
So, let's see, under points of celebration, oh, excuse me.
We'll have a performance, a student
Yeah,
performance.
Ladies Island. Will that be in person or remote?
I don't know yet.
Okay. All right. Points of celebration, thank you. We just were talking about first public comments because we were talking about it up at the top of the agenda. under Chairman's report, I would like to recognize Dr. Rodriguez for an award, and I don't have the details as yet, so.
Mhm.
All right.
We'll have 3 committees that will have met prior to the board meeting. So we have finance, operations, and policy.
All right. And as we've been doing, I really think it's best if we know their motions coming out of those committees to have them listed
I'll put
there.
them up. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
put them on the agenda, whatever comes out.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
So it's
Alex,
those 3 committees, right? Finance, operations, and policy.
yes,
Yep, okay. Next up is the superintendent's report. So I'll defer to Alice.
Dr. Rodriguez did not send any items this afternoon, but I'm almost certain he's going to come back with one under student achievement.
Okay. So just put a placeholder there. for something?
Placeholder, yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. All right. So the fiscal responsibility will be covered through the finance committee.
And they'll vote, out of the finance committee meeting, they'll vote what to put out, and I'll put their items on consent agenda once it comes out of finance, and Tanya's hands are up.
Okay, Tanya.
Hi.
Hi.
Last month, we put the Board of Ed monthly budget report and the monthly $100,000 report on consent agenda. I didn't know if you wanted to follow that same pattern and do that again. The other items were not necessarily voted on. They were just more accepted as information. They were part of the, but there could be other votes that, but they're not required. I don't have any any OEs that will be discussed during Thursday's meeting.
Okay, well, it seems like we should continue with our the precedent.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's the summary 100,000 report.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Or consolidated, or I've forgotten what you call it.
Mhm.
And the board monthly one, correct?
Yeah, the board monthly budget.
Yes.
Do you want me to wait until after finance, or go ahead and put the ESER report on there?
ESER report didn't go on there last month, so I would just leave those 2 and we'll see what
All right.
else comes
Yeah,
out.
because I don't think a board
Gotcha.
vote's required on the ESER.
Hmm.
It's more informational. So Alice, will there be any items under other matters for the superintendent?
He did not have any.
Okay. All right. So Kathy and Angela, anything under board business? We already discussed the one item we don't think needs to be there.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
no.
No.
Okay.
no.
All right.
Do you want to look at the future topic before we go to the 18th?
Yeah, can you just scroll down a little bit more before we do that? Okay, yeah, all the usual stuff there. Okay. Sure. Now we're going to also be setting in just a few minutes the work
Mhm.
session agenda, which is 3 days after this meeting. Okay.
So, loose items.
They're already labeled work session, almost all of them.
Except for the school report cards. That was
Yeah.
the one William brought up last time.
Okay.
And Dr. Rodriguez was looking for what information did you want for that?
Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith, the committee would like to know what information you're looking for with the school report cards, please. I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Mm.
Report, when he gave it to us, we didn't have a chance to dissect the information, understand it, and ask questions. So they've had some time to look at it. We've had some time to look at it, and I think
So you're very hard for us to hear and understand. You're kind of going in and out. You're real clear for like a short segment and then it's very distorted. Can you go to a place where
when we
can hear
first got
you
it
better?
that night, we didn't have as the board. We didn't have any-
Well, it sounds like he wants to discuss it further. So that seems to me like that would be better at a work session than at another board
report
meeting.
card and to digest it. So now we have.
I think we might have lost him.
Yeah.
So you want me to put work session by it?
Seems like from his request that that's
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
better for discussion.
We have the opportunities to have the act.
All right. Do you
Had
want me to
time
go to the work
That
session?
and getting it out the way
agenda?
at a board meeting. I don't see a problem with it having. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Not sure if he's still there.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
You want me to go to the work session agenda now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's see. So this is not put in any order other than just a list of what we have for the work session
Okay.
and having us start at 9. So hold on, let me make it big. So
Thank you.
can you all see it?
Yes, we can.
All right.
Basically, I don't.
Mr. Smith, I think we heard your comments adequately. All right, so Robin, at the top part, let's see here.
So the top part is,
Having it at a.
okay. So the top part is having us start at 9 o'clock.
Mhm. It's at the
So-
district and it's live streamed, okay?
Yes,
There's going to be we have public comment at the beginning, I see.
correct.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and what we say up there, accept it between 8 and 8:30.
Mhm.
You receive a phone call. Okay. All right.
So this is just the list of everything that I know of so far. So it's not in any particular order. It's just, I just listed. Update on blanket easement in the district. That was something that William had requested. Mental health initiatives is what Ingrid requested. School start times is William. And, I don't know what that is and he's muted, but online secure document vaults is from Ingrid. Student discipline is Earl. So I'm just saying this so people can answer questions of whoever's
Mhm.
asking. Board meeting calendar is something that we have to put together for next year. The joint SIC board meetings. That is, if you all want to continue, the board needs to discuss if they want to continue it. If so, how often, so forth. And then the results monitoring report forms are forms that were, that Kathy and Mel were given when they went to the school, the coherent governance, one of the classes, and those are actually the monitoring report forms that we should be using when the OEs and so forth are reported out. So have that for you all to look at.
Okay.
So those are
So,
the items that I know of, and there could be more, but those were on my work session list, agenda list.
all right, how about I'll let, would Kathy or Angela like to make comments about this list here? Anything you think should be removed?
What are
Altered
we talking
slightly?
I have a question. What are we talking about with the school start times?
That was Mr. Smith, so I don't know what that is.
And he seems to have lost his connection with us.
Okay.
Angela, I think he is interested, or he has some constituents who are interested in revisiting the start times. You know, they were switched a couple years ago so that the high school students went later and the elementary schools went earlier based on the sleep and research that was provided. But I think that's what he wants revisited.
Okay.
It seems like school start times, having been on the board now almost 6 years, it's, you know, kind of keeps getting discussed repeatedly. I'm not sure a lot changes with it.
It's come up on the SIC agenda.
In the past.
In the past, when we had our
Yeah.
joint SIC board meeting, it was an agenda topic that they brought up, saying they wanted, a couple of people, you know, said that they wanted to revisit the school start time. So that did come up on the SIC joint meeting.
Last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those, you know, polarizing issues, really.
Exactly.
I mean,
And I don't know, I just think, you know, we got a lot on our plate with mostly trying to get the learning loss addressed. I think if you start messing, I think you're opening a big, I don't want to say, you know, a big issue that I don't know how that's going to change academic achievement. I'm curious, Earl, what do you have to say about that?
I think we should just leave it the way it is,
Yeah.
you know, because it's not gonna change anything, you know.
So pull it off.
Yep, so let's take a vote, the committee. Those in favor of removing it from the work session agenda? Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. All right. Yes. I really don't know what the update on blanket achievements means, or blanket
It's the
easement
easement,
means.
yeah.
Mr. Smith, it looks like he's back with us. Can you speak, Mr. Smith?
Ingrid hand just went up too.
Yeah, I will call on her next.
Okay,
Mr.
sorry.
Smith?
That was on any easements that the district has. I believe Mrs. Carter, that was one that was brought up for Mrs. Carter, and I believe that she had already knew and understood what that was, to my understanding. I believe when David Scrivener was the chair, he asked that and he made that clear at that time what that was.
So, Ms. Cartledge, I'll ask you. So how would you interpret this as an attorney?
Well, the district has a number of easements throughout the, you know, the county with many of our schools. So it's not exact. Sometimes we have, you know, a blanket easement with some of the utilities, We have a number of easements. So, Mr. Smith, do you want to know all the easements that we have
Yes, ma'am. That-
throughout the county? And, just for your information, we've also released easements. We've released the easement on the Nisar property. So I can get with Mr. Otting because he keeps track of all the, he has all the property records for.
Yes, I would definitely like an update on all the blanket easements that we have in
Okay.
this.
But do you also want, you want all easements? They're not all blanket easement. A blanket easement covers, for utility, like for Jasper
Right.
Water Authority, but then we have specific easements too. Do you want those as well, or just want the general utility ones?
All easements.
So you mean you want us to make a list of all the easements?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I pop in here for just a second?
Yeah, I was gonna call on you just a second.
I have relevant information.
Go ahead, Ingrid.
Good.
So Robert Otting has already planned to have someone come and talk on blanket easements,
Okay.
which
Okay.
through the operations committee. So I just wanted to throw that out there that he's got, I think it's Jasper Water and another person from the county that's going to come and address this issue at operations.
All right. So I
And
can take
then
that
when
off
is
the-
that going to operations, Ingrid?
He's waiting, they're coming, I think it's the easement at Shanklin that, or one, and one of those I think it's the Shanklin easement. They were gonna bring that back for something and present at the same time. Our next facilities meeting is gonna be, because we're doing all human resources this month, is gonna be probably December.
Okay, so then it should not be on here since you're gonna
Correct.
vet it at the
That was
at the
my,
operations committee.
I
Okay,
think I'm asking.
appreciate that
Okay.
information. Mr. Smith, you need to raise your hand so I can recognize you. Are you not able to raise your hand? Okay, Mr. Smith.
I think what I'm asking for all easements. So it's just not blanket easements. That's good for the information. It sounds like that would be information period, but I still like all easements.
All right, so it sounds like the logical way to do that would be to first do the blanket easements at the committee level and then go from there because that's going to be the blanket easements, and then we can address if there are other easements that need to be addressed.
So I have that down for the operations committee, correct then, Ms. Boatright?
Yes,
All right,
because that's what
Thank
Ms.
you.
Boatright just informed us.
got you.
But,
So that's fine.
but that's contradicting what I'm asking for. I'm asking for all easements. If blanket easements are just a part of that, then they can give me all easements, but except for the blanket easements, they can still give me an update on all easements and take out the blanket easements.
sorry, I'm trying to raise my hand. Hold on.
Ms. Boatright.
Thank you. Yes, and I think that, well, let me do this. Let me talk to Mr. Otting. And we have our operations committee meeting, because it is my understanding, Ms. Cartledge, correct me if I'm wrong, we can probably provide that at operations committee, because it is my understanding easements are public record. So it's just a question of
Yes.
compiling them.
Mhm.
So I think that I can ask Mr. Otting to make it a more fulsome presentation to operations.
And we could do blanket and all easements and then bring it to the board.
Correct.
That's a good idea, Ms. Boatright.
All righty.
Mhm.
Miss
What?
Middleton,
is-
excuse me, Mr. Smith, you do not have the floor. Miss Middleton and Miss Robine, do you have, are you on board with the plan that it goes through committee first?
Yes.
Yes. It sounds like
so
it's
am
just
I.
going to be a list, so.
Yes.
Okay. All right, now, Mr. Smith?
You can't hear him.
Okay, I can't hear him, or maybe he's not at the. So the next would be the mental health initiatives, and this was, I believe, Ingrid,
Ingrid.
this is yours, right?
Yes.
So what's your, please elaborate slightly.
Okay, sorry, my dog's barking. I apologize. That is, we were gonna have, it's been brought up a few times. They were rolling out a new program, and they were at 10 elementary schools.
Mr. Smith, you'll have to silence yourself because Miss Boatright has the floor, sir. Please silence yourself. Go ahead,
Yeah, I
Ms.
think
Boatright,
that-
you have the floor.
Yeah, so that's come up and Ms. Walton said that she would bring back more information about those programs. And then I think Mr. Stribinger said he put it on the work session.
All righty.
Can
And
we, is there any
Kathy.
way to include in that presentation, like ballpark numbers of how many people are using them and that type of
Mhm.
thing?
I would hope so.
Yeah, okay. I think Alice is on, so that's why I'm just asking her to.
Yeah, so Alice, did you hear that?
Yes, yes, we
Okay.
can. This presentation will probably be two-part because you have mental health for adults and you have
Mhm.
mental health initiative for students. So it's gonna be a two-part. We're doing our OE on Wednesday and it includes numbers for mental health for adults. And the student numbers, we are still gathering, and that's two different departments. So in this presentation at the work session, you can get both of them. And also I noticed student discipline is there. A part of the student discipline also entails mental health. So that will probably work in to the mental health presentation as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll put those together.
Mm.
Um,
The student discipline was Earl's.
Right.
Okay, Earl,
yes,
please go ahead.
the reason I put that on there was we need to talk about weapons in our school, students bringing weapons into school, and how we address that. That's my concern.
Alrighty, so there's gonna be some discussion or inclusion of student discipline in the mental health initiatives, but in addition, Earl Campbell would like to have student discipline as it relates to bringing weapons in the schools.
Yes, I think we can cover that under the progressive discipline plan as well
Okay.
as the code of conduct.
Yeah, and there's a perhaps Wendy, isn't there a legal statute about that?
Yes, there is a statute about that.
So
Okay,
We
I
can
would
talk
include
about
that
that
as
too.
well.
Mr. Smith?
I was saying when I came on last time, I noticed before I came on that y'all voted to take a topic off. What topic would that have been?
School
Ms.
start
Cushenberry, what
times.
was the last motion?
School start times.
Yeah, okay. I thought there was another one after that, though.
No,
Oh,
we moved the easement stuff to operations.
To
and that-
Yeah, those are the
Operations.
two things, exactly. Okay.
Right.
So why would we move school start time?
Because the committee decided that voted against having it on this agenda because it's been discussed repeatedly over the years and
And that's a false statement because before COVID, that's what we were working on, and we all had that's an untrue statement. We were working on that before prior to COVID, so we took that up as a board, the school start time. So we would need to revisit that conversation because there was work being done on the school start time.
all right, well, thank you for your opinion.
No, that's facts and that's an update. That's not an opinion. I
No,
said
that's
facts.
your opinion, Mr. Smith.
Mhm.
And the committee has voted.
Okay.
Thank
Then
you. Next is the online secure documents vault, and this was brought
Ingrid's.
forward by
Ingrid.
Ingrid Boatright.
Mhm.
So Ingrid, are you still with us?
she is not.
Okay. I see that present. So basically the idea is, can the executive committee confidential or executive, excuse me, the documents that are reviewed in executive session, can they be administered to the board electronically in some type of very secure, confidential manner that cannot be sent to other people and copied, et cetera. So I think, I would guess maybe we start with IT for that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would concur with that. I would ask them what they know, have them see what they can find out.
Yeah. And there might be other districts in South Carolina who are other boards in South Carolina who are using this type of means to review documents.
So do we leave it on there or give them a chance to look for it and then bring back to us?
No, I'd leave it on there because
Okay.
we've taken, I mean, if we don't have a huge agenda,
Okay.
Yeah.
unless Kathy or Angela's not in agreement with that, we can vote.
No, you can
No,
leave it because it's probably gonna go to maybe a committee, maybe. Would
Yeah.
that be a technology committee, them, talking about that?
I think we first need to know what are we talking about and
Right.
then, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then we could
Because some
assign.
law firms use programs to do secure document vaults that you won't be able to email him, or if you try, it won't allow you. Some firms do that. So there are some programs out there.
Okay.
All right, the board meeting calendar, that's by law, we have to vote on that for the upcoming year. And here we'll know the successful candidates that are going to be seated on the board come January. So I don't know, maybe, do you think we would want that first on the agenda, or that wouldn't be really very practical?
It's first or last or whatever, because we invite them to come to give input like we did with so.
Yeah, do you remember last year, did we do it first or last? Oh, no, we wouldn't have done it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
It was 2 years ago, and I have to kind of look. I can't remember where we put. It was for Angela and Ingrid to come.
Exactly.
I think I did it in the morning or after. It was depending on their schedule. So it was either first thing in the morning or after lunch, if I remember. So it can kind of give them a ballpark time.
That sounds good. So why don't we just wait until we know who is going to be seated, and then could you reach out to them? Because there would still be enough time here to see where we could have all of them attending, hopefully. All right.
Joint.
Next on the agenda is the joint SIC board meetings. I think really I was one who recommended we have this on the work session agenda, or at least be discussed by the board. In the course of my 6 years on the board, it seems like it's I don't know what to say. I'm not sure how fruitful and productive it is. Although, I certainly don't, we're very appreciative of the school improvement councils and the work they do. But I guess I don't want to get into all the background, but it doesn't seem like really that, they don't report to the board as a special committee. So I guess for us to decide how we're going to are we going to continue these going forward or whatever? So I would do that discussion.
Can I suggest that we put the results monitoring report forms prior to that discussion, to the joint SIC board meeting?
That sounds good.
Because the results monitoring report forms are really, looking at the form that's recommended by Coherent Governance it's a pretty simple form, really, but.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Do I need to move anything else? I mean, so right now, the first topic we have is mental health initiatives, other than the board meeting calendar based off of what whoever wins. But is everything else in the order kind of where you all want to discuss?
I think so. I like the, the meaty, the discussion things in the morning, at the beginning.
Anything else that's supposed to be on the list that I don't have?
I don't think so, but let's go back to your list and be sure.
Well, did we just add the report cards?
Well,
Stu-
so I'll put that on there.
Mhm.
Where do you want that to go?
It shouldn't it be at the top because that's gonna be kind of meaty.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So
Start
put
the
it
morning
before
with that.
mental health?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine.
and it could be that Dr. Rodriguez's report on student achievement at the November 15th meeting may make that not necessary. I don't know what he has in mind, but Alice said she thought for sure he was going to talk about student achievement.
Did you hear that, Alice?
Yes, and I'm
Yeah,
not
so if he's
sure.
gonna do a presentation again on the school report cards, then we don't need to have it again here.
I'm not sure that the school report cards
Okay.
would be
Okay,
that item though.
all right.
okay.
Anything else?
That looks good. So do you want to just go
Yeah.
back to your list again? I think we touched upon all the things.
Yep. Let's see, future topics.
Yeah, operations aren't work session yet.
Mental health initiative. We took this off, so I'll remove
Well, the
that.
executive session folders in a way that's sort of rolled into the IT.
Yes,
discussion we're
that
gonna
was
have.
the
Yeah.
vault discussion.
School start
um,
times we did remove.
Yeah.
Student discipline, yeah. Public comments, we're gonna,
So you took a
after
vote at the
January
last
2023.
meeting, so I put that on there for after January, if I'm,
okay,
Mhm.
because this was
calendar.
Kathy, so I wanted to make sure if it was
Right.
the right thing.
Yes,
Okay,
well, I think that looks good, the agenda that we just developed,
Yeah.
because takes care of the topics on our list there.
Okay.
So, Robin, is it, I guess the timing of each agenda topic, do we
We
know
didn't
that
put it-
now, or should we get that from the those presenting?
we
You know, we're
didn't
not
put
gonna
it
put
on-
the times on there, but just have a
Right.
ballpark, like,
Yes, so we have to
Okay.
get that from the presenters based
Okay.
off of the information they have about how much. So, we know that we start at 9 and that we'll take a 35-minute lunch break. So,
okay. Yeah, and have a certain time for lunch, like noon or,
nope, we didn't
Okay.
put a time on there. We just broke when we needed, but
perfect,
usually just tell them, we'll have lunch ready about 11:30 and just kind of gave them a window.
okay. Oh, yeah, I see you have it on the bottom there. I'm sorry, I missed that. Yeah. All right, committee members, anything else we need to discuss?
No,
no,
ma'am. Anything else?
Angela, you're gonna ask about about me.
Oh, yes, Robin's evaluation. We need
Uh-huh.
some dates so we can get that done.
Okay. So, let's-
should that, wait,
Go ahead,
should that
Kathy.
be on the November 15th agenda? Because don't we send out evaluation forms to all of the board members?
Yeah,
so we could put that under chair report on the 15th.
Yes,
Yeah. All right. That sounds good. And then we'll cover it then.
so we'll put the.
And then
right-
as I recall, well, I'll talk with you,
Offline
Robin,
with-
to what we've done in the past about, having you come to executive session or, meeting with the secretary and the officers and the chair outside of a meeting, at a mutually agreeable time. Okay.
Mhm.
So there doesn't appear to be any further business for tonight. So yes, Kathy?
can I ask a question? I can't see myself, if you can see me raising my hand.
Yes.
Are we going to make an agenda for I think on our calendar right now, December 6th is the joint SIC board meeting.
So that's
So-
what I would suggest is we wait and see what we determine on the work session. The
Okay.
18th, and we'd still have time to do that if that's what the board will
Okay.
is.
And generally, I think they come up with topics anyways, right?
Yes, we have Kristen that we,
Mhm.
well, no, yes, we asked Kristen that they send out the topics. The only time we didn't do it was at this very last one. When David said we wanted to, we came up, the topic was, do they still want it? And so this
Okay,
last month, the last meeting that we had was the only time we did not ask them for topics. But they usually, we send the topics out. Kristen sends out and asks them for topics, and we
Okay.
usually take the top 3, or if it's only 3, and that's how we have gotten them in the past.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So
I move we adjourn.
Okay, and the second?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. Good night.
Thanks.
Good night.